Freshers Week in first term is now like degraded down to a welcome week.
Yeah.
So it's not going out as much. It's more just like introducing people to societies and groups and maybe like local committee events. How are you going to manage that, do you think? Do you think it's going to be worth it as a stick to do it this year?
I don't know. It's going to be very different to what it had been like last year. I don't know. It's going to be extremely different. So I think we're just going to have to place more emphasis on actually getting to know the freshers and stuff like that, rather than just drinking with them and, you know, preying with them. Because, I mean, part of the reason I applied to be a stick as well is, like, you get the wristband to go out all week. So, I mean, obviously I wanted to do the sticking as well. But
obviously.
Of course. But it's, like, a good opportunity to be able to go out and have fun and stuff like that. So, yeah, it's just going to be very different to what I expected when I actually applied. But I think it'll be a good challenge. And hopefully next year we'll get the full stick experience.
Oh, I can guarantee it. I definitely think that'll happen. We want to, you know, have that last year as a proper one, you know. But I mean, there might not be a Freshers Festival. I mean, there most likely won't be a Freshers Festival in first term. You know, like an online Freshers Fair as well.
That's very weird, an online Freshers Fair. Like the whole thing about going as well, like getting all the tote bags and the pens and stuff, like very different.
Yeah, that's going to be a bit of a shame, because a lot of societies really do depend on being able to like connect to freshers in person during that Freshers Fair. So, I mean, we might end up seeing a lot of societies having to struggle with getting memberships and things, and sports teams, you know, struggling as well. But then in terms of like the more day-to-day changes, aside from the fact that, you know, there's a lack of events and activities around Freshers Week, it's going to be things like possibly using like one-way systems in corridors and like online lectures, you know, predominantly being lecture captured and not really in person anymore, which I don't think is a massively bad change. But I just thought I'd close up this episode with a last little chat about, you know, some of the social aspects of some of the changes and how it might affect people, how you think it might affect you. And you know what you think people should be aware of to look out for, seeing as though you are sticking and you are aware that you want to make sure people don't sort of slip through the cracks a little bit. And you know, with all these restrictions and all of these changes, you know, people are going to be spending more times probably in their flats and in their rooms. Do you think, in terms of mental health and isolation, do you think more students will fall through the gaps and start having to rely on some of these mental health services like Open Door and Nightline and some of the, you know, like supervisor aspects and things like that? Do you think students will have to use that?
Yeah, unfortunately, I think it probably will be more likely that people are going to need to use those services. I think university can be really lonely anyway, so if we're not able to, you know, go and see people who maybe we don't live with, or, you know, go and make friends in our lectures, it's going to probably, you know, we're going to have less social interaction other than the people who we live with. Hopefully the departments will like make an effort to keep checking up on their students who aren't, like, you know, doing their work and stuff. My dad works at a university and they're kind of looking at doing like fortnightly tutorials with people just to make sure that those who are like vulnerable are more likely to just stick it out in first year. I think they're quite worried about people dropping out in first year because of the way that it's going to be rather than what university should be. But yeah, I think hopefully lots of the services and support systems will be like expecting that and able to deal with it. But yeah, it's going to be weird.
Yeah, it is going to be weird. Do you feel like you might have a responsibility as a stick to then keep your connection with your flat a bit more for a bit longer?
100%, yeah. I was going to say, like, hopefully, you know, there'll be a group chat that everyone's in, and if anybody, like, needs help or whatever, or advice about university in general, like, we'll be on call if people feel that they want to reach out and stuff. But yeah, I think it's important to make sure that they know we're there if they need it. Because university can be really hard, yeah.
It can be hard, but there's a lot of great things about uni as well.
The way your body syncopates